Before we get stuck into your rugby story, we go right back to the start, mate. So, where did you grow up? Where was home, mate? And who was at home with you?
So I grew up in a little village just outside of Wibsey in Bradford. Um, Obviously, I've got my older brother Leon, so he were at home with me. My dad Dennis and my mum Janet.
Hey, mate. So, did you and Leon always have the competitiveness that it takes to succeed? Was it like first up, best dressed, and a bit of a scrap and stuff?
I'll be honest with you, I just left Leon to it. He was always the angry one, especially with us being with us 5 years between us. So
Right.
it wasn't until I was being 16 when I shot up. So he would always give me a quick hiding, so I always had to do all chores. He always like pretends like he used to do them, but not so much.
So, how did you get introduced to rugby, mate, and where was it?
So I got introduced to it via my dad and my brother. My dad played at York,
Okay.
played a few games at York, and then got injured with a bad shoulder injury. But we used to go watch him. Obviously, my brother was playing for a team called Queensbury, which was my dad's old amateur side. So I just followed suit. It was literally, I think my first game was 3 year old for my brother's team. He would have been under eight, I'll have been three. I just wanted to play. My dad was a coach. I took the ball everywhere with me, and so I got introduced by my brother, just wanting to follow in his footsteps, even as a 3 year old.
So, do you remember like the cards when you used to have to line up and it'd prove who you was? Was that what it was like? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. You have to show your card, put your show him underneath your boots, in the
Yeah.
line and what have you. But no, yeah. So 3 year old trying to act with big boys.
So, did you stay at Queensbury all your amateur career, mate?
No, well, funny enough. So I stayed at I think it was at Queensbury up until around about 10, I think it was, maybe 12, 10, 12. And I had a fallout with my coach. And funny enough, my coach was my best mate's dad. Um, I didn't like being young, being naive, being cheeky. I'd fallen out of love with it. I was playing football at the time. We were an half decent footballer. So I was playing football for a team in Bradford called Sedgeburn Boys. So I enjoyed doing that. So I was playing rugby on a Saturday, rugby on a Sunday, and we're just getting a bit too much for me. And I thought, you know what, I can't be bothered with this. My coach was shouting at me. Obviously, me being a bigger lad, expecting more out of me than everybody else. And I just had enough of it. So I just basically just walked off the pitch at being about 10, 12, and told my mum and dad that I wasn't doing it again. So I didn't play then until I was being 14, 15. And all my mates had gone to play in the local village at Wibsey where I went to school. So they all went there. But again, I were always playing a year above myself because there were never any teams, especially at Queensbury at my own age. So I always played a year above. So
Right.
I went and did that. So I went to Wibsey, and then I tried to go to a team in Leeds called Driglington. Um, I'd known that club via players like Scott Morrell and Lee Smith. They played there. I'd been introduced to them playing, Bradford schools, Yorkshire schools, and that kind of stuff. So I tried to go there, and then I ended up going back to Wibsey because they wouldn't allow me to play out my catchment area. So I went to Wibsey and had another season with them.
Right, mate. So we'll go back. So before you left, was town team a thing up in
Yeah,
Yorkshire, mate? Yeah.
yeah, Bradford schools. Again, so obviously that was my only avenue of rugby at the time. So for me leaving Queensbury, I had no rugby. I won't play it. I
Right.
would play football. Only rugby I were playing was for Bradford schools. So
Okay.
I played for my school rugby team, and I played for Bradford schools, and that were it. Keen into my football, and I just kept on doing that. And obviously, it leads to Yorkshire schoolboys and then playing for England and stuff like that.
And did you hit all them markers, mate, even though you were playing football as your main sport?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
obviously, I knew I was good at rugby, and I just didn't like I say. I always enjoyed playing rugby, and I still wanted to play it, and I just kept on doing it via through school rugby, and obviously the Bradford boys, and and what have you, and just kept doing that.
Right. So, were they having a go at you to get back playing rugby because you're hitting them standards, mate? Because I imagine you might not have been too well known of outside, like, for your club game because you didn't play, basically.
So obviously, luckily enough, my brother were playing first team at the age of 16 at Bradford. So I'll have been
Yeah.
11 at that point. So Leon were
Right.
playing. So I were always touted like, oh, what's your kid doing? And Leon obviously was just saying, listen, he's playing football at the minute. If you want to watch him, he's playing in Bradford schools and Yorkshire schools. So yeah, no, so I just obviously kept me looping with that. But yeah, no, I'm quite content just doing that for a 3 to 4 year.
No, and that, like, how good's that you were able to make your own decision at that age, mate, and stick with it.
Yeah, like my mum and dad have never been the pushy parents. It's always right. What do you want to do? Right, I want to play
Yeah.
football. Right, then we're going to support you playing football. Right, do you want to play rugby? Yeah, no, I want to go back and do rugby. Right, we'll ferry you across country and we'll do that. So we're always about my mum and dad just letting Leon as well, letting us do what we wanted to do. Leon were keen into basketball when he were at high school, and he went and did all that and played rugby union. So my mum and dad just let us make our own decisions and just followed us.
Yeah, I love that, mate. So just a quick interest with the football, mate. Is it as clicky as it seems? Because I've never been involved in club football. I've just played rugby, but my mates all played football. So
I loved
they
it.
think rugby's clicky, but I imagine we think football's clicky, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think it's because I was so young. We all just loved it. They're all my mates from school. So
Right.
my middle school, we all played at the same team. We're all best mates. We had a really good team. I still stay in contact with quite a few of them now. So no, it was one too clicky just because it was all my schoolmates. So we had an absolute ball playing at school team. Obviously, they knew I played rugby and they loved that, but yeah, it wasn't too clicky.
I like that, mate. What it's about, you at them ages, you should still be playing because you love it, shouldn't you? It
Yeah,
shouldn't be
absolutely.
something you're forced into, is it?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. You've got
Yeah.
to enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, then there's literally no point.
No. And to be fair, mate, like we'll touch on your pro careers very soon, won't we? But
Mm.
it's even though you're getting paid, you still need, well, don't need, but you still want to enjoy it, mate, don't you? It's no one goes out to lose, did he?
No,
Regardless of the
absolutely
level
not.
you're at. Yeah, yeah,
No,
but you've still. I imagine it's harder to enjoy when it gets a bit like dark. It gets a dark business when you're at a certain level, mate. I imagine.
it does. Yeah, obviously you're paid to perform, so it becomes a matter of performing and not necessarily about the enjoyment of it. Obviously, you've got to try and enjoy it because that's when you play your best rugby. But ultimately, you're paid to win. I mean, not winning, there's pressure on you, and there's pressure from above, and the pressure from above. It's like any business. If you're not performing at any kind of working level, on your day to day, if you're not performing, then you're out of a job, and it's
Yeah, you get chipped,
exactly the
mate, and
same.
it's the world.
It
Yeah,
is. Mhm.
yeah. So when you're in the markers, Carl, because you come across pretty chill bloke, did did you notice the levels that you were climbing, and did you feel a change in levels?
As we went into playing for Yorkshire, Bradford schools that were okay, and playing against teams like Leeds and Castleford and stuff like that. I always felt comfortable playing that, but as soon as you went into playing for Yorkshire, that's when the level went up. You're playing against Lancashire, and you got to see how good some of the players are. You're
Yeah,
not just playing in your own little league in your Bradford leagues, or you're not just playing against some players from round corner at Leeds who playing against some top players. I've come through an age of James Rovers, James Graham, Dave Allen from your neck at Woods, some top players. So there were definitely a step up as soon as you went into play Yorkshire and Lancashire.
yeah. And would they international selectors age group wise? Would they have used the origin thing as a national selection, Carl?
Yeah, I believe so. That's what they were kind of doing back then.
Yeah,
Um, as we got older, there was still we had the camps that we used to go down to Loughborough. So we used to do that, and that's again when you got to see other players and the levels that you needed to get to, or at least to try and achieve. So, no, it were a good setup coming through. I really did enjoy it.
Right. And did Union ever cross your path as a teenager, mate?
No, not at that point. There were no Rugby Union really up in Bradford. I think there's a couple of teams, Bradford Tail and Bradford and Bingley. But no, it was never really a sport. Like, it was certainly one played in my school. Even when I went up to a upper school, mine wasn't there. Leon, I think Leon's did. Yeah, Leon did. He went to Fortnum Grammar. He was a posh boy. I had to go. I had to go. I had to go to Buttershaw, where Rita Sue and Bob too were made. That's claim to fame of my school.
So, how was it as a student, mate? Was school more social for you, Carl, and rugby was the importance of football when you were playing that?
It was, mate. Yeah, it would have.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, well, not the most academic. I can get by, no drama at all. But at school, I knew what I wanted to do. You know, as soon as I got to 14, 15, I knew that I wanted to be some sort of sportsman. And whether that were going to be football or rugby, I knew they were my two avenues that I was going to go down, and I was going to throw absolutely everything into it, which I did. Maybe not recommended, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I knew the only way that I could get that was to throw absolutely everything into that.
Right. No, well, listen, it worked. Like, it worked, didn't it, mate? Like, other than probably injury, which you were quite unlucky with, which we'll go into in a bit. So when you grew up, mate, was you predominantly a pivot? Because you started your pro career in a pivot position, didn't you?
I was jack of all trades, and I've pretty much done that throughout my entire career. I think, like, so when I went to go back to play rugby league, I was playing as a 13, and I kind of played across most positions from playing 13 at the amateur side and then playing for Yorkshire at centre. So I just kind of just kept in and around any kind of position, to be quite honest with you. Something that helped me throughout my career, not just pigeonholing myself into one position. I think if I'd have done that like some players do, then I may have struggled to make my first team debut as early as I did.
Okay. So you really answered my next question, really. So do you think the versatility then, mate, helped you, didn't it? Because I think you look at some players, I think it hampers them, doesn't it?
It does.
Sometimes.
Yeah, no, I think it really does. As much as I'll go back to, obviously I wasn't playing the game, but I was still a student of the game. So I was still watching my brother. I was a ball boy for Bradford when my brother were playing. I was a massive student of it. I still took a rugby ball everywhere with me, even though I'm playing football. My best mate, Don Brambani, who played at Castleford and he played at Sheffield Eagles. Me and him would pass the ball everywhere. We'd take the ball to school with us. We were going around just to play out fields. It was a rugby ball. And we literally just self-taught, just practicing as much as we possibly could, goal kicking, doing it all. So yeah, no, certainly playing most of the positions and trying to understand how to play them definitely put me in good stead.
Right. So them two positions, mate, for viewers and listeners, they're drastically different, really, aren't they? I know the 13 roles changed as we've all got a bit older, mate. It's like those full circles, done it? 1 minute, you're an extra middle. Next minute, you're a third playmaker for the middle third. So what type of
Yeah.
13 was you?
So I'll never forget one of my first games. It was Bernard Dwyer, and I played in the academy game. My first game, and I played at 13, and he told me not to play like Wally Lewis. He just told me to run the ball. And because the way that I've always played the game, I wanted to express myself, even though I was playing 13. I was playing
Yeah.
13 because I still had good hands, and I was obviously quite tall. So my amateur see, we like to throw the rugby ball around. So I played 13 instead of a 6. We just play with 3 halves. So that's kind of where I still play an halfback role. But because we had half decent halfbacks, just to get me in the game a little bit more instead of putting me out in centre, they played me at 13. So that's where that came from, really.
Right. and obviously having the ball in your hand all the time open the door to the skill set of offloading and one hand carries because, like you said, big lad, I can see the mitts on you now, mate. They look
Yeah,
massive. Yeah.
pretty big,
So
aren't
like
they?
that frees you up, doesn't it? Hence, centre players. We link it to Gidley and Lyon, but they sort of introduced it, didn't they? The in, the out, the back
Oh,
door or
there's
around the back of the defender.
absolutely, coming through. That's they're the type of players I'm playing against, which are an absolute nightmare to play against. Yeah, no, they were the pioneers of it, especially Gidley. The flick pass, good hands. Yeah, no, you're inspired to be that when I started to go a little bit further out and try to play at centre. Yeah, certainly.
So when did Bradford start? Well, when did you start getting noticed? Because I can imagine it weren't just Bradford that stepped forward for you. Because it's
It,
like viewers and listeners that don't know, mate. They had to declare interest in the car, so it could be all Super League clubs could have said we're interested.
yeah, no. So once I got to, I think it would have been 14, 15. You had your scholarships. So there were players getting picked on scholarships, and I didn't get one at all. Bradford didn't give me one. Leeds came. Leeds were interested, and Wigan were interested. Um, so I was just like, I was a bit thrown back by the fact that Bradford weren't interested at first. Like, obviously, my brother's playing there. I'm a local lad, knowing that I'm playing good rugby, but yet Wigan are coming for me. Leeds have come in for me. I think there was Castleford. And I was just a little bit like, well, why is Bradford not coming for me? So a little bit like, right, okay, well, I'll go to Wigan. It's like, it's my boy old club. I absolutely love Wigan. That's the team that I supported growing up. So I was like, right, I'll go to Wigan. So I went over to Wigan and toured the facilities, and I were about to sign scholarship papers with them. And then that's when my brother had spoke to Bradford and said, why have you not spoken to our Carl? He's about to sign for Wigan. And that's when they came in and said, oh, well, we just thought it were a given that you'd come to Bradford. So they thought, because my brother were there, that I were automatically going to just join them, just
I know,
without
yeah.
even showing any kind of interest at all. So if it weren't for my mum and dad, I'd have gone to Wigan because obviously, like I say, I'm a Wigan fan.
Yeah.
I'd have gone there with bells and whistles. But no, but obviously the travel and stuff like that, going there a couple of nights a week, wasn't really what I wanted to do coming into GCSEs and stuff like that. So we made the decision to stay at Bradford.
Right. And what was that next step with would that have been academy? Because you're not much older than me, I don't think, mate. So we
No.
had academy reserves first team, didn't we? Is that still the
Yeah.
layout then?
Yeah, so that's all.
Yeah.
You're in your scholarships until you sign professional papers. So you go and train. You won't have any games. It was just training. So you train a couple of times a week, skills, no weights. It were all skills, fitness based.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a step up, and then you went to sign your professional papers.
Right. And what would your mum and dad went with you to sign and mate?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
scholarship papers went there, and then obviously as I got to 15, I think I signed my first professional deal. Yeah, and now I just said that we're at Bradford.
Right. I imagine that's when like you start getting a marker on you from opposing teams as well, then Carl.
Yeah, no, obviously
Yeah.
there are some big rivalries, but mainly Wigan and Leeds. They were always the big games. So yeah, no, that's where you'd have to watch yourself.
Not witness, no.
No, we're all right. We're all right against
You could
Widnes.
have just lied to me, Carl. It'd have been sound, mate.
I've had some tough games against Widnes, like when they were in Super League. I'll give you that. When Owen Craig you were there. No, those
Do you know what, mate? He did turn up against you, actually, didn't he?
yeah,
He did. I don't know what that
2005.
was.
Yeah, played
Yeah.
some
I
really
think
good
the
rugby
stand
against
was
them.
knocked down, wasn't it? And
Yeah,
yeah, when the stand was missing. No, he did turn up against you.
yeah.
So when you're in and around that environment, mate, like, did he like drip feed you into reserves from academy and give you the taste of that, or is it sink or swim sometimes?
So pretty much so. Halloween. I
It's a
was
big step.
17.
Sorry to interrupt you, Carl, isn't it? Like you're playing against people coming back to the first team most of the time back then, weren't
So
you?
But yeah, so I played. So what I was doing, I played in academy on a weekend. So then we'd normally have curtain raisers before the first team. But
Yeah,
my age, we had under 21s. So it
right.
was like that. So that were like the reserves. But that was full on. I'll never forget. I played one of my first games. I played with Stuart Fielding. Jamie Langley. They were playing in them kind of teams. Chris Bridge. So when I was coming through, I was playing with top players, and again playing against some really good players. But I remember playing against St Helens, and we played against Murray Fassavalu. I think I'd been 16, and I was just like looking at these and watching them on TV, and they're absolutely massive. I was just thinking, what am I doing here? Really? Like these are
Yeah,
top players, and there's obviously it's a massive step up, a huge step from academy to 21. So then play first team is it's like night and day. It really is.
yeah. So you won an academy grand final, mate, didn't you? Is that
Mm.
a good early taste of what you really wanted to
No,
achieve?
I love that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that. We had the best team. Great players, great team. Good, fantastic coach with Steve Mack and Phil Vivas. And we did it against Leeds, and there's no better feeling than doing it against Leeds as a Bradford lad. We beat them on their own patch, and they turned out the floodlights and the lights as we were all celebrating walking around pitch, as saw loser did do.
did they?
They did indeed, yeah. I'll never forget. So we're playing against I'm good mates with Tommy Gallagher. He were
Yeah.
playing, and yeah, he were a sore loser that day.
It's not that. It's like at that point, you are all mates, aren't you? So there's
Yeah,
probably, and I appreciate which we'll go on about. You've won honours later on, but it's a very mixed team. Then lads have come and gone, haven't they? That you've come through with, and they
yeah,
might be playing amateur, they might be playing League One or Champ, but they might even be playing National Conference or Yorkshire Prem. But you have
mm,
just been scattered at that point. Like it's
yeah,
people don't understand the absolute elite cut it then because a lot of foreign players were over there then, weren't they, mate?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
really, 9 out of 10 of them were still in really good age and ability, weren't they?
Yeah, so obviously the era I was coming through, you're looking at 2002 to like 2005. You're playing like the Aussies were coming over near enough at their prime because obviously the
Yeah,
money was a lot better. So you're playing against players like Adrian Lamb, and there's Gidley and there's Jamie Lyons. Like these unbelievable players are coming over. So you knew that it would have a massive step at that point, a huge step.
yeah. So when did your first team debut come about then, mate? And do you think being in them big games at academy level get you ready for the bigger games in the Super League season, or again, is it completely different?
It gets you as ready as it could possibly be. So my debut will be in 2002, I think it was. Or 2003. 2002, I think it was. And Bradford won the Challenge Cup league leaders, and then I went on to win grand final. So I came through and played I think it was the last game of the season against St Helens at Knowsley Road. And the atmosphere were electric because it were a massive game. Saints still had a lot to play for. I think they might have been fighting for second place. Bradford are already sorting it up, but obviously it's leading into a playoff game. So I came off the bench and I've never experienced anything like it. It felt so quick. And then you're looking back at your academy games, and yes, they were well played. Playing against some really good players, but to step up into that atmosphere and that arena, yeah, it were a big step.
Yeah. And was you in and around that squad before your debut for a few weeks and that, mate?
Yeah, so I'd been training with them
Yeah.
for I'd say about 6 months, just in and out, dripping in and out of training, being used as cannon fodder. When they were
Yeah.
preparing for a game, we'd have to run balling as straight as you
Human
possibly
tackle
could.
bag.
And
Yeah,
no, it was,
yeah,
and that's how you earned your stripes back then. It was a tough environment to play in or to come through at. You're playing against or training with likes of Jimmy Laws, and I'll never forget you were the first one to try and break my nose in training just to say welcome to first team, and and that's how it was. And I wouldn't have had it any other way.
yeah,
My brother were fully encouraging them, to get stuck
Yeah.
into it were great. But yeah, no, it was a tough environment.
I don't know, like it's probably deemed inappropriate now, isn't it? But they're the proper like embedding days in it, like initiation days. They basically they're testing your car, aren't they?
Yeah, no, they're testing you willing to see what kind of character you are. See if you're gonna sulk off, or are you gonna
Survive. Yeah, yeah.
survive? Are you gonna put your gum shield in and just crack on? To say it was tough, they still looked after us, incredibly well. They didn't half look after me as coming through. They were a great bunch.
Yeah. So when you win your grand final, mate, do you remember much about the build up and what did it mean to you and things like that? Because it's your own town club, isn't it? It's family related as well, and you grew up watching this team dominate, haven't you, mate?
The 2005 one.
Yeah,
I was gutted, mate. I didn't play. That was the year then Adrian Morley came over. So
right.
he'd come over, and obviously there were a couple of players that missed out. Andy Lynch was the main one, but the team just got moved around. I was in and out of the team. Obviously, I was still young, so I wasn't expected to play. I was not like I was kicking stones because I'd been dropped. I'd been dropped because there was better players. Leon were playing centre at the time. You had Les Nicola on one wing. I forget who the other winger were. But yeah, no, we had an incredible side, so I certainly wasn't disappointed. I was just happy to be in and around that squad with them leading into playoffs. I think I played against London in the first playoff game. And then we went on a run and went on to win it. That's the year when we went on a run from outside the top four, I think it was. I think we finished fifth and we were the first team to do it. So, and plus there were a lot of players leaving that year. So I know it were one of the best feelings I've had, even though I didn't walk out there and play the game. It was still such an achievement. Now I've got the ring upstairs somewhere. I think it's in my dressing room. Anyway, not seen it for a while, but yeah, no, an incredible experience to be a part of it.
I was gonna say, mate, Joe, if you're not in like the 19 or whatever, are you still made to feel a part of that? And do you think you've contributed all year, haven't you? And right up from when you were a scholar, really, mate. These are the days you do it for, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. We're still
Yeah.
massively a part of it. Still went out there and went on bus and experienced the changing rooms before the game, after the game, and obviously the celebrations. Um, yeah, it was just amazing to be around. It really, really was. It made extra special with all the players that were leaving that year because we've become so close. It's the closest team I've ever played in. Well, the 2005 Bradford team. We're all literally best mates. Um, yeah, no, it were really what a special day.
A couple of things then, mate. Is that rare that, because I appreciate like lads that I get on that are still playing, they've sort of still got to do the media handbook, haven't they? I try and make it as like relaxed as it is. But is that really hard to find, Carl, how close that Bradford team were? Our teams tend to be friends, but not
Yeah,
ride or die, Does that
it
make
was
sense?
so because I'd experienced that at such a young age. I found it quite difficult for it not to be that.
Yeah,
So when you go to other clubs, it's like, oh, this is not how it was at Bradford. Not that you compare, as in structures or performance or players. It's just that togetherness that we had. It was just a little bit of a shock, and not to say that we weren't close in other teams. It's just that team at Bradford, we did everything together, literally everything together. There were card games, we would go out and have a good, socialise, have a good drink. There were barbecues. All the families were so interlinked. Even though I'm 17, 18 at this point.
yeah.
So I didn't have kids, but I was still welcome to come round and go hang around with Les or Joe and players of that Robbie Paul. They were still doing so much together, and it were a special team.
Yeah. No, I like that, mate, because when you're under the pump, that them relationships matter and you do that X%, don't you?
Oh, I did, and that year, it literally was, and I think that's what got us over the line. You know, with me being just outside of the first team, as in like starting 13. Well, I'll never forget that we had a drink. I think we'd lost to Hull FC in a maybe a Challenge Cup game or in league game, and things weren't going as way. Was far from playing well, and we all just had a little bit of an open air talk. We're like, we need to sort this out. You know, this is led by the older players. I would just sat back in awe of them. On the leaders and said, listen, we're all leaving. You know, we had a group of, like I've said before, we had a lot of players leaving and they didn't want to go out playing the way that we were playing. And they literally just draw a line in the sand, and that's when we went on a run. And it were pretty special.
Yeah, no, I like that, mate. And the next thing, the World Cup Challenge. So before we go on about your experience with it, is it a concept you like, Karl? Is it something?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I really do like it. I think it's a game where you get to test yourself. They say, like the Aussies say, that they don't take it serious. They do. There's not one team on this planet that wants to lose that game. They may not be 100%, but neither the Super League teams. You know, you're coming off the back of a long pre-season. No one wants to lose it. Not a chance. It don't matter. Especially if you're playing any kind of competitive sport. You don't want to lose. I don't let my daughter win anything. You know, that's just the way that we all tick. If you're genuinely a sports player, you have a competitive edge, you want to win everything. It don't matter what it is, you just want to win. So, I'll never have we're not bothered about it. You are, because you want to win. You might not be 100%, and that's fair enough, but you want to win.
Yeah. But I'll be honest, mate, there's not a lot of games you're fully fit for, is there?
No.
I don't think fans get that, do they?
First game of the season, you're not fully fit. Because you have a tough pre-season. You pick niggles up straight away. They're 18-stone men, big men, and we're colliding with one another in training to get ready for a long season. So you sometimes coming into a league game, your first game of season, you're still undercut because you're being bashed up a bit because you've had to get yourself to be battle hardened. So sometimes you might be going in with niggles. Most of the best time that you may be, but nearly enough at maybe, let's say, 100. It's towards back end of the season at times, because you start to unwind and you start to taper your training to the run into playoffs. Because if you are struggling with an injury, to look after you a little bit more. So beginning of the season, you're fit, but you're not battle hardened, and that's the hardest thing to get going.
Yeah, you can do pre-season for 6 months, but you won't be match fit, will you?
No, it's like I say, it takes a month or so until everyone's fully fit, and that's why you see at the beginning of a season where the skill levels are not that good, and that's because no one's fully up to speed. It takes 4 or 5 games until you're pretty much there.
Right. So how did you find it then, mate, when you were playing in it?
I loved it. It was best years of my life. Playing a sport that you love, you've grown up loving. To do it with some of your best mates on a day-to-day basis is honestly the best. I've done it for 15 years, best 15 year of my life. And that's being professional from going from academy until you're 30, playing professional sports with your best mates. There's nothing that could come anywhere near it. Oh, absolutely. And it's like you don't grow up. And I'll say it until the day I die. When you're playing rugby and you're in that changing room, you do not grow up. You're a child. It's like you're still being 16 with your mates in school. You're having the best time, joking around, being incredibly inappropriate with stuff. But you're a kid because you're going into training and it's like we're all kids. It's great. We have to be serious at times, but you be with your best mates. And I absolutely loved it. It was great.
Right, good. So when the time at Bradford come to the end, mate, was it amicable? And why the change of code?
No, it was amicable.
Yeah.
Bradford wanted to keep me. There were a couple of little things which I wouldn't say unhappy about, but I had questions. And maybe questions that mostly at that point, I didn't warranted to ask. Um, I just wanted to know the direction of the club, and what they were doing. Because, like I said, the 2005 team got dismantled under everyone's noses. Um, so not assurances, but I wanted to know what we were doing, as in who was signing, them kind of things. We've just lost
Yeah.
my brother, Robbie Paul, Jamie Peacock, Lee Radford, Mick Witherstede, Robbie Paul. It's like, honestly, there must have been about 8 players that left that year. So I was intrigued on where they were headed. And as I'm asking these questions, Stu Fielding left and went to Wigan. Brian Noble left and went to Wigan. I'm hearing that Paul Deacon might have been leaving. I'm hearing all these players that could be leaving, and I'm thinking, what's going on? It's like the team's literally being dismantled, and I couldn't get my head around it. So obviously, my agent had put feelers out there, but I didn't want to play for another team at that particular time in my career.
Yeah.
Bath came in pretty early on that season, and I knocked it back straight away. I said, "No, I'm not ready to do that yet. So I want to stay at Bradford, but it needs to be right." And then the season just kept going on, and it just whispers were going on in the background, and you knew something wasn't quite right. Wigan came in at that point to see what I were doing, but then Gloucester came in, and I went to go meet them, and Dennis Betts were there at the time. I went to go meet Dean Ryan, and it was just didn't sell the dream. They just sold their vision on what they wanted to do and what they could potentially try and do with me.
Yeah.
And I just got to a point. I just thought, you know what? Why not? It wasn't about money. It wasn't about anything that Bradford have done. They just came in and said, "This is what we could do, and this is what you could potentially do if things go your way and if you work hard enough and where they projected me to go to." So I spoke to my brother, I spoke to my mum and dad, and obviously spoke with my agent, and we were just like, "Let's go for it." It's like, what's the worst that could happen? It's like, if it doesn't work out, you've not failed. You've gone and experienced a completely different culture, because it's a completely different world.
Yeah.
So I'm using the word culture like I'm going to the other side of the world, but it did feel like it was, because it was
I was gonna say, but it did feel like it. Yeah.
completely alien to me. Playing again, I'd never played before. Around privately educated players, um, which I will add, they were incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I just thought, why not? And yeah, no, so I just thought I'd experience something different, even though I'd not achieved everything that I wanted. I were more than ready for a new challenge.
Yeah. Positional wise, were they good at player?
So I played wing and inside and outside centre.
Where did you prefer, mate?
I enjoyed inside centre. That was
Oh,
good.
good.
I
That's.
enjoyed that.
I'll be honest. I could see that you play more 12 than 13. Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously I could play 13 because I had the skill sets to do so. But I enjoyed getting the ball off my 10 and getting into positions and then being able to express a little bit. But obviously that didn't it didn't work out, did it? So
You know what though?
it
You
is
would
what
never
it
have
is.
knew, would you? If you
No,
didn't go.
absolutely not. No, and it's one of
Yeah.
the people
And that
say,
weren't
"Do I
me saying you
regret?"
couldn't play 13, by the way. I hope you didn't
Oh
think that.
no,
I was just
no,
saying I
no.
could imagine you being destructive at 12
Yeah,
because remember um, when I was playing for the Widnes Rugby Union, we went and played Wigton away, and it's where you and Dowles was playing
all
to get
right.
ready for the Dubai Sevens.
Yeah,
And it's just that offload game, mate. Like Union weren't used to it, were they? And you've got
no,
it in bucket loads. The one on, like we said, the one on carrying round the back. It just weren't a Union style of game, was it?
no. Especially back then, they were still finding the feet. As I don't want to sound disrespectful to any of their players, because I'm just some of the most skillful players I played with. have come from Rugby Union. I trained with them day in, day out. Jameson and Daniel, incredible player, absolutely incredible. Ian Balshaw, Mike Tyndall there, and Ryan Lamb. These honestly incredible athletes, and skill set wise, they were right up there.
I'd like to have seen Tins play rugby league, you know.
He'd have
From
gone.
Wakey, isn't he?
He'd have gone, yeah, a bit posh boy, innit? From Wakey, but posh boy.
Yeah.
He'd have been an handful. He would have
I
been
think so.
a
Second
real
row or
handful.
centre.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I'd have banged him. I'd
yeah.
have played him at centre in a nice strong line. Like played very much like Keith Senior.
Yeah.
It was that kind of player. No, incredible player.
So the injury, mate, how did you do that? Was that in training that?
No, debut at Franklin's Gardens at Northampton Saints, playing against Ben Cohen. So we're on the right wing, marking Ben Cohen, incredible player. You know, played for England, numerous caps, World Cup winner. So I'm going into that game absolutely bricking it. Not going to lie, absolutely bricking it. You know, to come across a World Cup winner, you know, to try and mark him, I was nervous. But I was handling myself. It was going really well. I think we put up a box kick, and obviously as a winger in Union, your job's to chase after that box kick. So I've gone to challenge for the ball. I've jumped up and just landed flat footed. And I knew I'd done something to my ankle. But I wasn't sure. Like just one of them. So like you play rugby, you play injured. It don't like it is what it is. So I got up and I continued to play. I was like, it's a bit sore, but be all right. Let's just get through to half time and we'll talk to the physio then. Got through another 25 minutes, I think it was. Got to half time, sat down, listening to team talk. And then we've gone to get up and to go back out. I couldn't stand up.
The wind's gone in that as well, hasn't it?
Just gone. So my foot were in absolute agony. Literally, as soon as I went to put any kind of weight on my foot, I knew there was something bad had gone. So yeah, no. So I left that stadium in a moon boot.
Right. Because it's a tough ground to debut at as well. The Rugby Union grounds tend to be like on you, don't they?
Yeah, Franklin Gardens. It's a great stadium. You know, small, compact, very loud. But yeah, no, it were going okay until that moment.
Right, mate. And how was it dealing with that, considering you were about to embark on this new chapter?
I've been injured before, and I'd had surgery before. But I'd never done anything really bad to my ankles or it was my foot. And at first, they didn't realise I'd actually fractured it. So I'd gone for an X-ray and a scan, like maybe 2 days after, and nothing came up. So they were just like, right, bad sprain. Like, let's just ice it up, give it a week, give it maybe 2, and then we'll slowly introduce running back. And so, yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. And I started to run again, and I just couldn't get to full speed. So I could run at 60%, but any time they asked me to accelerate, I couldn't get there. And that's when the pain had come. And I said, listen, it's not quite right, this. I don't know what it is, but I understand that the x-rays are saying that there's nothing there. But my body's telling me there's something there. Will you please send me for another scan? So they sent me down to another scan the following day, and that's when they'd found a triple fracture of my navicular, which led to having 2 screws implanted straight through it. So it was like the shape of Mercedes-Benz badge. So that was the shape of the fracture. So it were in 3 pieces. Me being not young and naive, but not understanding the severity of it, I just thought, you've heard of David Beckham doing his metatarsals, you've Wayne Rooney doing all this. I'm just thinking it's one of them. Where have quick surgery, you'll be back in 6 to 8 weeks, back for pre-season. Like in my head, I'm thinking. It turns out it's one of the worst foot injuries you can have because it's a really bad blood supply to your foot. I didn't know that as at that point. It wasn't until I came to Wigan I got explained that this is career ending if you're not careful. So it took me wind away because I couldn't get back fully fit at Gloucester. I just kept feeling like I was always behind the black ball because I didn't feel 100% right, and at that point I didn't understand why.
Yeah.
So no, it was very difficult at that point, just because I'm living in Cheltenham. You know, it's only a couple of hours drive away from home. It's not far. It's not the end of the world. But I've gone from obviously having a really close network around with me, my mum and my dad, and all my best mates, to being in Cheltenham by myself. My girlfriend at the time were at university at Loughborough, and I was just like sat in my own little house in Cheltenham, just rattling, not knowing what to do with myself because I couldn't drive, couldn't do anything. So it was a matter of getting
Dangerous that
trained.
though, Carl, isn't it?
No, it can be, yeah. No,
Yeah.
luckily, I had some really good mates down there who I bonded well, and I'm still mates with them to this day. They looked after me incredibly well and made sure I was, keeping my spirits up and still going into training and being around lads. But no, it was difficult.
Right, mate. Well, what was the temptation to stay there? Was the option to stay there? Did anyone else come in, or once
It,
Wigan come, mate, with it being your club, was it hard to say no?
it was funny because I wasn't far off back playing, so I've been in and I was back like in and out of the first team with at Gloucester. I were on bench a few times, and I was like, you know what, I'm getting there. I just had another injection in my foot to hopefully give it this last push to get me to be fully fit. I got pulled into office, and basically the head coach Dean Ryan, were just like, right, you've got two options. You can stay, but I can't guarantee you any kind of first team games. You were playing, they used to call it Monday night football. So you're playing reserve grade, or Wigan have come in and offered to take you on a transfer fee. It took me all of 5 seconds to go, right. No, I'm not going to stay around and play reserves. It wasn't about if there'd have been maybe it'd been an opening of right, you're gonna have to earn your spot. Absolutely, nothing's a given. I'd have backed myself against anybody at that time in my career, anyone. Um, so I just knew they wanted another path there. They not that they'd wash my hands with me, but it was time for somebody else. Their squads are massive. They think like 40-man squads. It's like an American football team. So I spoke with Wigan, spoke with Brian Noble, and spoke with Ian Lenigan. I went and met Ian Lenigan down in Oxford because he lived down there. We weren't too far of a drive, and he says, "No, we want you to come back to league. We wanted to sign you before you went, but obviously I didn't. At that point, I didn't entertain it." Bradford had an option because in the clause, I think as when you're that young, they've got to offer you a contract. So they've offered me something out of one of the rules that they'd get paid. If I did come back to the league, they'd get something. So they'd offered me a contract, and cheekily enough, I went, right, I'll accept it, because I thought, why are you offering me a contract? You don't want me back. Like, you can't, you're just doing this to be
Tick
funny.
boxes.
Yeah, tick boxes. So I rung them up and said, "Oh, I'm coming back to league. I'm coming back. If that offer still stands." And they were like, "Oh no, that's just a tick box exercise." And no, I didn't think so. So I knew what you're up to, but no, I'll sign at Wigan. So yeah, no, I went to Wigan, and again, just didn't get off on the right foot. You walk into that building and you're wanting to rejuvenate your career because you've had a tough 18 months. And then you speak to Professor Chris Brooks, and basically told me in my first week that I would need another year out of the game. So to say that was the kicker, which really got me. I was going through some things off of the field at the time as well, which I won't go into. It's something I'm not very proud of. So at that time, it was ultimate kick. It were a tough pill to take.
And I've never asked anyone, mate, so I hope you don't mind. But
No.
when you sign for the team, you do a medical, Carl, don't you? So would your foot have shown up on the medical? Would it?
Yeah, no, that was
Yeah.
the medical. And hats off to Wigan. I can't speak highly enough of that club and the way that looked after me, because I could have turned around and at that point said, "You're shot. Like you're not playing for another year. Go back to Gloucester. That's your Gloucester's problem. Like this, no, we're not doing that." They stuck by me and said, "No, we want you. We signed you on a thing of like a 2 to 3 year deal." And they're like, "No, we want you. We're going to make sure that you get back fully fit. Touch wood, with a lot of hard work." But no, they stuck by me and got me back on rugby field. Maybe not to the level where I were or where I wanted to do, but they're for now obvious reasons. I couldn't get to full sprint, but I understood how to manage my foot because of Wigan. And that medical team were incredible. Becky Hodgkin looked after me and got me back on field, which at that point when they told me that, I can honestly say I didn't think I'd play rugby again.
That's sad, that, innit? So do you feel that way in hindsight, Carl, or did you feel that way at the time?
No, that morning I'll never forget. I went into car park and I run my dad. I said, "I don't think I'll play again, Dad." And he just obviously my dad was just like, "Listen, you don't know that yet. Do everything you can possibly do to get back on rugby field. Do everything that you can do." And I did that, and we worked incredibly hard to get back fit. I wasn't allowed to run for, I think it was 6 months. I wasn't allowed to run for longer than 5 minutes. So yeah, no, it were a tough journey, but we just did everything that I could possibly do to get back on pitch.
It's you, mate. I was allowed to run, I just couldn't.
Well,
At least you weren't allowed to.
The funny thing is, I couldn't run it back then, so they must have been in the same position.
Right, mate. So how did the chat with Wigan go before you went to Harlequins Rugby League, which for viewers and listeners is now London Broncos again, isn't it?
Yeah. So we played in 2010. I'd just got back into the team.
You were quite prolific, Carl, though, weren't you? Sorry to interrupt, mate.
Scored an hat-trick against your mob that year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you were prolific, weren't you? It is.
Listen, we had a good team. I were on the end of Sam Tompkins absolutely killing it, Pat Richards killing it, George Carmon. The team, the 2010, the team were like clockwork. Everything that we did in training came off on pitch. I were a glorified touch judge. Yeah, so don't get me wrong, I still had to score tries and what have you.
Touch judge.
But it's I was playing in a really good team. Like I managed to score, a fair few tries, and I were in team for quite a while. But the nature of the beast is, again, if you have a slight performance below par when you're playing at a top team, which Wigan are, it's next man up. And I lost my position, and that were it. And the team then went on a massive run and won one grand final. So no, they offered me a contract to go again for 2011, but with option if I can, if I want to go on loan, if I feel like I'm, because they're not going to be playing at the beginning of the season, then I could go on loan. And Harlequins were a team that were, looking for players, and I thought I can't not this year go and play. I need to play. So I might have been 25 at this point, and it gets to a point where you need to be playing week in, week out. I knew I weren't going to get that at Wigan. Like I say, we had incredible players. Amos Roberts, Pat Richards in them positions. So I knew that it was going to be in and out of the team, which was fine, but I wanted to play. I needed to play. And I absolutely loved it down there. It was completely different to Wigan, as in Wigan, you can't plan Mad Monday. Like at London, it were planned 9 weeks into the season because they knew that they weren't going to make playoffs. So the Mad Monday plans were already in motion. But it was a very, very enjoyable season. We didn't get as many wins, obviously, we would have liked, and we finished down towards bottom. But on a purely rugby level, I loved it. The boys were great, and we had a good laugh. We trained hard, but we also had a good time off the back of it.
Do you build confidence in your foot again through the regular playing time as well, Karl? Or...
No, I wouldn't say I built any more confidence. It was, I knew how to manage it. I knew how to manage the pain. I knew how to get through my week to make sure that I were okay for for the weekend's game. It was one of them things where I just manage it, make sure don't do too much, don't do too little. All the exercises that I needed to do to get on pitch needed to be ticked off. So I wouldn't say I had any more confidence in it by playing. It was just always there in the background. At that point, I felt comfortable with it. Don't get me wrong; it wasn't necessarily hampering me playing. It just literally, I just know I had to look after it. Yeah.
And is it no disrespect to London or the people at London at the time, but is it hard to go from being held accountable to everything and being really highly competitive to go into somewhere where sometimes London have felt like they've just wanted to stay in the game?
Yeah,
if that makes sense, mate. You've gone from
definitely. I had a coach of Michael Maguire and Sean Wayne, so they were the head coach and assistant coaches, and their level of detail is impeccable. They do not let any stone unturned. Everything was boxed off. If you weren't doing a certain thing in video, you'd get called out. And if you even in training, the recording training sessions, before this had come in, now it's the norm. But Michael Maguire brought over like the recordings in training. I've never seen anything like it. But the level of detail that they were putting into us was light years ahead of most of the other teams. So most of the London might have been 4 or 5 years behind where Wigan were, as in prep wise. So when you go down to London, again, no disrespect, we had a good coach, we had a great team. The level of detail is far different, and obviously, expectations are the biggest thing. You're down at London, the fans are full behind you. They don't have many, but they're fully behind you. They just absolutely love it. They love the rugby league. They might not have the biggest of fan bases, but the fans that they do have, they love it, and they enjoy the game. It's a full on day out for them. It's great, but when you're playing at Wigan, the expectation is you win. If you don't win, there's a problem. And that's where it comes down to pressure. Play at Wigan, there's a massive amount of pressure. If you don't win, it's crisis. Where if you don't win at London or at Harlequins, as it were, then it's more of a we need to do better. And you obviously your professional pride kicks in when we all want to be better. We all hate losing, but the pressures from above, as in CEOs and stuff like that, there wasn't that. They want the pressure of, right, if you don't pull your fingers out, there's going to be wholesale changes. It weren't that. It was they were just not just happy to be there because they wanted to compete, and we did. We started that season off really well, but in the long run, eventually it peters off, and you just don't quite have the intensity from above, which then filters down into your squad. You've only got your professional pride, and as much as that'll get you, but you all need to be on the same page.
Yeah, it doesn't win you the tight games, that, mate, does it?
It don't. No, it don't. You've got to. There's little 1%ers. Everyone goes on about 1%ers, but it does. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And you represented Jamaica while you were at Harlequins, didn't you?
Yeah, so that end of that season, I got a phone call and they were just like, do you want to do it?" I had a phone call previously. I think I went to Miami to go play, and I just thought, you know what, I want to represent my dad's heritage. My dad was born over here, but my grandma and granddad had come over, and they're still at that point still spoke Jamaican. I could barely understand them, but to represent their culture, their heritage, it were a huge honour.
Yeah, I loved that, mate. How did you find it? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. We're saying like there weren't too many lads from Jamaica. I think there were maybe 4 or 5 that came over from Jamaica and met us in Philadelphia. But the majority of the boys are people that I knew from around here, from around
Yeah,
Bradford, from around game.
yeah,
So no, we had a ball. We had a great time. We went to New York. We went to New Jersey. We did it all. We went and had a really good time. But we trained hard. It's just again the expectation. So you've just come from Wigan to Harlequins, and then you're going and playing for Jamaica, which were run like an amateur side. And again,
yeah,
no disrespect, but it wasn't the best setup. They struggled for places to train in America. So it was very much like dog and gun at times. It was rock up to a patch of grass and do some warm up, and then go out and have a kick about, and then we played 2 games while we were over there, and won one, lost one. No, it
to
was
be
a good
honest,
luck.
America sounded so shit, Carl.
No, no, honestly, it was
Yeah, honestly,
absolutely
you made it
awful.
sound so bad,
I
mate.
couldn't believe it. I'm walking around Philadelphia running up rocky steps for free. Honestly, I can't believe it. It were
Yeah,
awful.
but and that's the beauty of the sport, though, Carl, in it. You've got to see a bit of the world that you wouldn't see
Yeah,
playing for Bradford, Wigan,
I won.
Harlequins, maybe
No,
Gloucester because the game's a bit bigger, but
yeah,
definitely not
yeah.
in Rugby League, would you?
No, no, absolutely. You're up and down M62 corridor, aren't you? With an occasional fly down to south of France and go down to London. But yeah, no, predominantly you're on M62 corridor. So no, it was an experience. I fondly look back at it. It was a great week and a bit. Good laugh.
No, class, mate. That and fundamentally, like we touched on before, you're probably playing what you see, no structure, having a good time, but
Yeah.
back finding love in it, like
Yeah,
playing
no,
like you were a kid again.
it was no, it's exactly like what we
Yeah,
just treat like, right? Just go out and play street footy. Just go
yeah,
and play your game and have a laugh doing it. We could get a bit frustrated because things weren't coming off, but ultimately we had a good laugh and it was good.
man, I love that, mate. It's like a break from reality. So when you get back to the weekly grind of like obviously you go Bradford, then don't you? Like that gets
Mm.
serious again, I imagine. So
Yeah,
that being a kid again must be brilliant.
yeah, no, it got pretty serious when we went back to Bradford. It were yeah, tough season to say the least. With um, financial pressures of the club.
Is it
So
heartbreaking when you first hand witnessed that decline?
100%.
Yeah,
It was obviously walking out the door in 2006. I think it were after losing a semi final against Hull FC. I think it was in 2006 to then walk back in to a team again. So when I signed for him, we was obviously aiming for playoffs. So it wasn't like it had declined to a point of we weren't going to make playoffs. I was signing to with a competitive Bradford side, and we were.
yeah,
We had some great players, and we was competing to be in that playoffs. But obviously, the way that the club had been run while I'd been at Wigan and being away, were the same reasons why I was having itchy feet back in 2006. So while I'm asking questions about what the future were, and then they couldn't give me straight answers, when I'm 18, 19, I come back when I'm 26, do a full circle, and then questions then get answered. What were going on with the club? The club was in bits. So that was difficult to see. There were still people in the backroom staff still there when I was there as a kid. and they're getting made redundant and being left and not getting paid. And it was the toughest year of rugby I've experienced on the rugby field, just because of how close, again, like I say, Bradford back in the early 2000s, it weren't just the players that were close, it was the backroom staff, it was the people in the offices, it was people in the club shop, in the ticket office. We was all close and they were still there. So when I walked in, it still felt like that. So it was
Yeah.
great. When I walked back in, I was like, I'm home, this is amazing. I'd mostly taken my first 5 years of my career at Bradford for granted. It's like I'd not taken full stock of what it meant for me to play for my own town club. It was a given, and I did take it for granted. But so when I got to do it back in 2011 or 2012, I loved it, because I'd missed that feeling, and I didn't know that feeling that I had. I'd never replicated having again. So as soon as I went back to Bradford, I had that same feeling, and it was it was incredible feeling to feel like I was literally back at home.
Yeah, I love that, mate. So, is it time that you become a senior player now, mate? Are you getting lent on the return to Bradford for experience, for a bit of leadership and guidance, or
Yeah, I suppose so. Even though I like 26, I want older boys, which I found difficult. But again, I've throughout my career, I've always met a bunch of idiots throughout it. I always attract them. I absolutely love them. I still talk to them to this day. You know, Elliot Whitehead. You know, he's just retired this last week or so. Luke Gale, Tom Burgess, John Bateman. These players, obviously, some of them are still playing now. But so I were older ones, but they were young and just wanted to have a good time. Worked incredibly hard, and you can see with the careers that they've had. But no, I had to attempt to wrangle them in, but at the same time, have a good time with them, because that's what we're about, and that's the again. I'll
so
go
you
back
probably
to
felt that age then as well, Carl, didn't you?
I
Like
did
you said
honestly.
before.
I felt
Yeah,
20 again, being a little kid, and like I said, it felt like the old days, and it did, because again, we all lived in each other's pocket, and I don't know what it is about Bradford. We literally lived in each other's pockets, because none of us had kids at the time. It was go to training, come on, right? Should we all meet up? Because we're all young, free, and single. It was like,
yeah,
oh, come on, we'll go meet up for food, and we'll do all that, and we were all so intertwined with one another that we would just do everything, and that showed on the pitch again. I go back to it. It showed on the pitch. When it were getting tough, when we weren't getting paid, we were together throughout of it. Like, I'll never forget the moment we got told we were going into administration or what have you, and we weren't going to get paid. And we had Wigan that weekend. We had Wigan on the Friday, I think it was. We got told on the Wednesday night. We were already going for food anyway. We were going for the feed down at Facenders. And we heard on the grapevine that it were happening. So we went and met Matt Diskin and Nick Scruton down at a pub in Morley. So just to talk through it all, we ended up doing pub quiz and getting absolutely smashed. To be honest with you, we'd been out. We was like, what are we going to do here? Like, it's a joke. Like, come on, let's jump on this pub quiz at Morley Dashers. We had a good laugh. Obviously, we didn't stay out too late, but we had a fair few drinks, and then stumbled home. We all had no training kit, because we all stayed at one of the lads called Elliot Key. He lived in Morley Village, so we
yeah,
all just crashed on his sofa, all rocked up to training half cut. Mick Potter's just like, well, I don't blame you. I don't know what's going on. We might not even play, but if we do play, let's just have fun. We went there and we ended up turning them over, which obviously you wouldn't have thought it, that we were in a team that had just been told we were potentially, not going to be getting paid, or we're going to be losing points and what have you, and the club were going to be in an absolute mess. But no, we just stuck together, and that's the togetherness that we created throughout this earlier on in the season, from living with each other and being in each other's pockets to having a friendship, which actually meant something. It wasn't just I play rugby with him.
beyond the game.
Yeah, it's not just a colleague. These are my friends, and I'll do anything for them. And we took that on the pitch, and we rallied round and still nearly made playoffs, even though we'd had points taken off us. I think it went down to the last game of the season, and we just missed out. But no, we again, it comes down to them friendships and bonds that you create off the pitch, which effectively, gives you that extra couple of percent.
Yeah, it shows because like them names you name, mate, you're still good pals with them now, aren't you? But
Yeah.
when you see a talent, Carl, and that's so easy for me to say, but when you see it, do you know it's going to be as good as they become?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like, so Sam Tompkins will have been young when I first arrived at Wigan. He were, as soon as he played, I remember him playing in that Challenge Cup game when he scored. I think he scored like 5-6 tries against Whitehaven. Ridiculous. You could just see he's got something. Don't know what it is, but he's got something. And then the next couple of years, he took over. John Bateman, again, you walk through the door at Bradford, and then at that point, and you're like, right, this kid could be anything. If he
Tough
knuckles
bastard as
down,
well, John, isn't he?
oh, very tough. You're just
Yeah.
like, if he knuckles down and does what he could do, it could be anything. And long and behold, he has. Same with Elliot Whitehead. Elliot were a little bit more established at this point, to be fair. He'd already played quite a few first team games and on the door of England, but not that he wasn't fully committed, because he was, but he was in his comfort zone at Bradford, lived round corner, just travelling into training. He was, coaches, teacher's pet. Which really was. He won't have it, but he was. He was Mick Potter's teacher's pet. Could do what he wanted, turn up, train, kill it. But then he was like, as soon as he goes out of his comfort zone, he took his game to a completely different level. Went over to Catalan, having a little bit of a fallout with coach. Goes over to Catalan, kills it because again he's out of his comfort zone. Out of his comfort zone, leaves him to go to Canberra, and then goes and spends 10 years in Canberra. One of the best English imports they'll have had, and it's really will. He absolutely killed it, and can't be any prouder of him, especially of him being a fellow Bradfordian.
Yeah, no, and it's like Elliot did have like a buzz about him, didn't he? Not like no disrespect. I think John did as well, but not Elliot was like star boy, wasn't he? Even I remember that, and I was like young as well. I'm about Elliot's age. I'm 35 now.
Yeah,
So
he will be.
you were aware of Elliot, weren't you? Basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Everyone knew who he was.
yeah, absolutely.
So you can take an horse to water, mate, but you can't make him drink, can you? So he seized his
No,
chance, hasn't he?
yeah.
Yeah. So the end of Bradford, mate. What did that come of, and did anyone else show an interest as well as Dewsbury?
There was Salford had come in, but again they were struggling financially, and it kind of just got to a point where I knew my foot couldn't take much more. I generally didn't think it could get through another long pre-season of having to. It's more so on getting the medical staff to understand what the foot takes to get to a game day. Having to then not convince you, but the coach has got to trust you that you're not pulling the wool over their eyes. That I can't train, because if I do train, I can't play at weekend. Or I can't run upstairs, because if I do, I can't train for 4 days. Or I can't run on 3G pitches. So I kind of got to a point where I'd had enough of having to justify what it is that I need to do with my foot. And I was tempted to just leave it at that. But Morrow rung me, who I'd known from when he first arrived in England. He rented my house out when he first arrived at Bradford, and I'd gone down to Gloucester. So we had a little bit of a relationship from back then, and he was just like, if you want to have a year with me, then come down to Dewsbury. I'll look after you. Do what you need to do to get on pitch. I'm going to trust you wholeheartedly to do what you need to do, and just come back and enjoy it. And I just thought, you know what, I'll do a year, and then I'll hang them up. Did the year, enjoyed it again. Met some good lads. I'm still in a WhatsApp group with half of them now. They're all idiots. Again, like I say, I attract them.
Yeah, kids.
Anyone would say I'm the biggest idiot with them because it seems like I'm the common denominator. But yeah, no. So I enjoyed it, and I ended up doing another couple of seasons, um, and then I retired just at a blink of an eye because this kid stepped me like I wasn't even there. He, I think it might have been who were it now? Can't remember who it was. I think he ended up going to LFC. It could have been Cameron Scott, but we were playing, and like I always prided myself on being a student at game and being able to read things. And it used to get me out of a lot of trouble. So because I could read the game pretty well, it used to get me out of defensive mistakes. So I knew what this kid had told. He'd done something, and it was one of them moments where I was like, "Fair play. I like what you've done there.
Yeah.
You'll not get me again with that because I know your moves now." He did it again and left me for dead. I was like, right, there's something not quite right here. Boom, did exactly. I knew exactly what he was going to do. Couldn't stop him. I'll never forget. I just walked up at pitch. I went to my ex-wife. My ex-wife now. I went, I'm done. And she went, what do you mean? I went, I can't keep doing that. So I'm showing myself up. And she went, 100% sure you're done, and then you're done. Walked off and didn't play again.
Right, well, just because you know yourself, though, Carl, innit? That's a credit to
Yeah,
you, that mate. More than
I,
it's just
I
a
just wasn't going to waste.
realization.
I just wasn't going to waste their time.
Yeah,
It wasn't great money, but I'm not going to take a wage of a way or an opportunity from another player just because I'm getting paid. I won't get paid massive amounts of money, but it's still enough
any
to.
would though, mate.
I was just like, I can't keep doing that to a club that is so honest as well. The way that they run the game, Mike Sawyer runs the club like clockwork. He runs it to a T. I thought I can't take money away from a club that is run like that, and that it's not what I'm about. So I just said, no, we need to bend it here. They asked me to stay on
Right.
as a coach, and I helped out Morrow for the rest of the season and going into the year after. But then, no, that
Yeah.
were it.
Is that something you enjoyed, the coaching side, Carl?
I did, yeah. It's I did enjoy it because I've got a fair bit of knowledge at game. I've been doing it since I've been 3 year old and been around it forever. But yeah, no, there's not many opportunities. And then once you're out of it, it's when you touched on football being clicky or rugby being clicky. If your face don't fit in certain aspects, or you don't quite listen, or not necessarily listen, but you don't just go with the flow, then there's sometimes there's not a job there because if you're not, again, outspoken is most probably not the right word, but when you challenge people's knowledge of, okay, well, I understand what you're saying, right? If you can't convince me of something, how can then I be an assistant coach or be a coach and then go and try and convince another 18 lads to go and do what I don't believe in?
It's
I
only
can,
constructive, that though, Carl,
yeah,
innit? You
no,
shouldn't get branded for piping up, really, should you?
yeah. So that was the thing. I challenged the head coach at the time. He didn't overly like it, and it wasn't because I knew better. It was not far from. I was just like, okay, break it down to me. What's the reason why you wanted to do that? Because them players don't believe in it, and I was just because I'd come from playing at that time. I played with them, so they still had a really good relationship with me. Of Carl, we don't believe in this. So I was the in between coach again, as an assistant should be. I was just like, they don't believe in it, and I'll be honest. I'm honest, and I was just like, listen, they're not honest with they don't want to do what you're asking because they don't believe in it. It's old school. The game's moved on years from what you were doing.
Come to that time of the chat, mate. I've got a few daft questions for you.
Go on
So, any pre-match superstitions?
then. um, I used to put. I used to not. I wouldn't say superstitions. I used to have a routine of. I'd always strap my right wrist first, left wrist second. Right foot would go on sock, left foot, and I'd always do that. So it'd be put my right foot in my shorts or in my speedos, and then after then my left. Everything were always right first, then my left. Don't know why. It's not because it led me to feel like I was going to play well. It was I have absolutely no reason why I did it. I just did it.
So this next word, mate, the definition for everybody's different. So the toughest player you played with and against.
Right. I'm gonna go, right. If I go toughest, all right. Okay. I'll give you two of toughest to play against. It'll have been as in physically tough and always when you're anywhere near middle of the pitch, have an eye out for him. What says Newton? I think he got Arcade Beauty when he was younger. It was great. Yeah, so Tez, just because he was full on, he was everything. Obviously, I played against him and played with him. To play against will be, as in skill wise, will be in between Martin Gleeson and Jamie Lyon, just because their skill set as a centre to try and match them two and the way that they played the game was, yeah, it was very, very hard to handle, and especially when being quite young at the time, playing against them two, where I had my hand full.
Yeah, I can imagine, mate. So your favourite away ground?
So it's going to have to be Edinburgh as a Bradford lad.
Didn't he?
It's especially how it used to be with the lower stands. The atmosphere when their fans are. It pains me to say it because I'm from Bradford and I can't stand Leeds. Their fans are incredible when it comes to noise and singing songs. Whether it's about their own team, about against your team, against me, they'll call me every name under the sun when I'm running down wing against them. It was just the atmosphere is incredible, and the pitch was always immaculate as well. Like the changing rooms were relatively big for back then. Before it obviously turned it into an incredible stadium now with massive amounts of investment. But yeah, no, Edinburgh is it's a special ground. I really enjoyed playing there.
If you could tell a younger Karl something, what would it be and why?
Just yeah, I wouldn't. You know what? I wouldn't tell him anything different. I'd tell him to go and do exactly what he did, and just go and enjoy it as best as you can. Because again, going back, it don't last forever, and throw yourself into it.
Don't chase box kicks.
No, no. And do you know what? I'd chase it again. And people say, do you regret going to Rugby Union? I don't. I really, really don't. It was an incredible experience. So I'd do that again. I'd do it all again. I'd do it twice over because I had that much fun doing it. Yeah, there was bumps in the road, but I'd do it. I'd do every single thing the exact same way. I really would.
You are who you are because of said bumps, aren't you? And said journey, mate.
Yeah, no, I'm happy where I am in life. I've got a nice home. I've got a nice kid. Beautiful daughters. I've got everything that I could possibly want, and that came from the decisions that I've made. Yeah, there's a couple of things that you wouldn't want to do again, but if I didn't do that, would I be doing what I'm doing now? And probably not. And I'm happy doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, love that, mate. So if we've had a few beers, mate, microphones in your hand. What you singing to us?
I had a look at this when you sent me. I've only ever done karaoke once, and it was in Lanzarote at Wigan training. It was pre-season training, and I sang Prince "Purple Rain, Purple Rain" because I can't sing, and I just thought, you know what, we'll just sing that because all it says is "Purple Rain," near enough, and then just hopefully everybody else will just carry it. So it was me and Gazok had sang it, but the background to that story is we weren't allowed to have a drink.
Right.
So Brian Noble had said, "Listen, there's no drinking on this pre-season. Even though everyone's brought all the gear, discotheque, there was like a little nightclub on campus. So we're all devastated that we weren't going to be having a drink. But he then told us we were doing karaoke. So I was like, no, afterwards going, I'm not standing up there singing karaoke without having a drink.
So, but yeah,
But
that's me. That be
so then
pissed at it.
we were all as a team. We're just like, right, well, if one of us has a drink, we've all got to have a drink. So we all just snuck in there with like a little supermarket on campus. So we went and got some drinks from the supermarket, and I went back into one of the lads' room and had a few drinks, and then just rocked up to this do, everyone a half cup. But because everyone did it and we did it as a team, there's nothing you could really say. Yeah, don't get me wrong, he he flogged us the day after to make us know that we shouldn't have done it, but yeah, we were all in. So yeah, the purple rain, and it's the last time and the only time it'll ever happen.
You can just be the backing dancer with me, mate,
Yeah,
because I need
exactly
to be
that.
strolly to do it, mate. So what? He probably respected that though, Carl, didn't he? That it was a full buy-in and not
They
just
did.
2 or 3 years. Do you know what I mean? So he might have
Yeah,
flogged you for it, but he probably respected that.
no, he understood. We're a team, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it all together, and we all did it.
Yeah.
And it was all right. It's just one of them things, isn't it?
I like that, mate. So if you're willing to, a 1 to 13 that you played with,
Yeah.
and if you think one of the union lads could have fitted into a position you struggle with, you could fill it in with
Right.
that.
I've got a full league team. I'm going to go with league, but like I say, I've got a special mention for James Simpson Daniel. He could have played centre or wing, and he'd have absolutely killed it. And then another
Yeah.
lad, Luke Narroway, he'd have played 13 out of back rower. Again, skill set, engine, the defence, he had it all. Top player.
Like
But
it feisty as well, Luke, didn't he?
yeah, good like top player.
Yeah.
Like just about it. Yeah, one of my little again when we talk about meeting idiots, I attract them, and he's right up there. So I'll start off with full back. I'm going to go Sam
Yeah.
Tompkins. Speaks for itself, doesn't it? He's like obviously just retired this year to have the career that he's had from the beginning. Just honestly, absolute special player. Me winger to start off with Pat Richards. Again, can do it all. I don't think I've ever met a man that's as talented as my life. He could play darts, he could play pool, he could play table tennis, he could play golf, he could play football, Aussie rules, you name it. Pat can do it. Pat's good at every sport in the world. Very annoying, but what a player. I don't know if you remember, the only person I've ever seen catch a ball from his own wing and it's a drop goal against St. Helens. Like, who does that? Like, from like 50 out? Like,
It happened since, has it?
no, honestly, I don't think anybody could do it, but Pat is that good. So Pat's got to be one of my wingers. This one's a toss-up between George Carmont and Martin Gleeson. But I'm going George Carmont. Just out of the fact that he was the most underrated player I've ever really come across. I mean, you talk about players who are incredible, like athletes and players, and they normally get the flowers. He never really got it, but he was the best. Like as soon as he came at Wigan, he was the best, one of the best signs I've ever seen. Top player and a really good man. My other centre, I'm going to go with Shantae Nappy. The skill, he's Shawnee speaks for himself. As a centre, as an out and out centre, because I wouldn't play him anywhere else. Couldn't play him anywhere else but centre. Shawnee had it all for a centre. And there's only one man that you can have next to Shantae, and that's Leslie Vanicola. Yeah, everyone talks about these tries that wingers are scoring at the minute, doing, incredible things, bending around, but he posts, the corner flag. Leslie's scoring tries in corners like that without touching them.
Yeah.
He was, even at harder skill. Yes, that what they're doing now as athletes and flying across, it's incredible how they're scoring these tries. But Les is scoring tries in corners the size of a 2 foot patch of square of grass. He was, so Les, best finisher I've ever seen. The pace and power that man had was frightening. My standoff is it's got to be my brother. Kills me to say it. I'm going to put my brother in. Just again, my brother's has always been my hero, and so to watch him develop as a player, starting off at Bradford and being a utility player, and then going to St Helens, and then fully establishing himself as an out and out six and being world class in his position. I'm gonna go with our kid on that one.
Yeah.
So this one I struggled with. So I had three of this one. So I've got Paul Deacon, Tommy Lullaby, and Robbie Paul, and I'm going with Robbie.
That's some halfbacks, them, aren't they?
Yeah, obviously I got trained with like players like Trent Barrett, and Tim Smith again, incredible players. Brett Finch, like all these incredible players, but them three different in their own right. So obviously Tommy, best defensive halfback I've ever come across. If you run straight at him, he belts you. Paul Deacon is kicking and his game management second to none. But I'm going with Robbie out of he like Super League era came off the back of him. The Bulls mania and the Bradford as a organisation and Super League was marketed off of him, and not just because he was good looking back then and he'd spin a ball on his finger, but he was incredible. Like his stepping and his game and his just everything about Robbie. I just allowed an absolute awe to share a change in Robbie, and luckily enough is I've been calling a friend. Family friend. So I'm going to go with Rob. My pack, I'm going to go with Joe Vangana.
Yeah.
So he's up there. Obviously, he speaks for himself. Absolute man mountain. Anything that run anywhere near him, he's going to bend in half. And incredible ball carrier. Me uppers. Again, this is a tough one. This is between Terry Newton and Mickey McLaurin. But I'm going with Mickey. I think he's underrated. I think he gets a bad rep because he plays a tough brand of rugby. Mostly a little bit biased. He's my best mate. But I watch his game with great interest, and he's underrated for the actual subtleties of his game. He's not just don't get me wrong, he's a tough thing. And he is up there with the toughest blokes I've ever come across in my life. But he's got a game which matches it as well. When they were younger, a tough thing. But as he's got older, and the longevity of his career, still playing now, he's old as a fossil. But he's still playing now. Do you know what I mean? And
his distribution's quality though, isn't it?
Always on the mark. As he's got older, he's lost a yard of pace. He was never quick anyway, but his longevity is like come from like a tough hooker to evolve his game. Like obviously, you're playing the game in these days. Like if you've got a burp, you get a penalty sent against you. So he's, Mickey's I don't think he gets his flowers, and it pains me to say it because he's one of my best mates. I don't like to tell him he's good at anything, but I'm going to give it Mickey.
He's popular on the podcast, Mickey, mate.
Thing is what gets me as well is the nicest bloke in the world. He really is.
Yeah.
He's godfather to my daughter. Just a nice guy. Just a really, really genuine nice guy. I think anybody that's played with him gets to see that side of Mickey, which when you're playing against him, he's growling at you. He's an horrible little thing, little leads right in it. But I love him.
Little Leeds prime. You said that. Carl said that, Mickey, not
Yeah, no,
me. I repeated it.
mate. Yeah, I was from Leeds, innit, little ditty. But no, my other prop is it's without a shadow of a doubt, it's got to be Stuart Fielding. It's like what he were doing early 2000s to well to 2010, 2011 was never seen out like it. That game against West Tigers, nah, that's the best like prop performance I've ever seen. He won that game. Nobody else. He won it, and yeah, no. So he gets that without a shadow of a doubt.
He's on the planet for a while, wasn't he? Like I had Paul Medley on. He mentioned about a young fielder, and to be honest with you, mate, I felt bad. So I said after what him and Willie done, I think he lost a bit of order when he come home. I think people thought he could be got at, but his circumstances weren't. Like I felt bad then when I heard it. After he'd been on the bye round and that.
Yeah.
It's hard to get over,
Oh,
mate. I've
have
lost
you,
my
have
mum
you seen
myself.
that?
It's tough, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
I'm so glad that he's done that podcast. I listened to that podcast and I was so proud of him because I was in and around them years where he was struggling a little bit. I was travelling with Stuart. So
right.
me and Richard Mavard saw it all that he weren't himself, and obviously I'd seen Stuart from being at Bradford, and he was the man. He really was. Like walked on that field as Stuart Fielding, incredible player. So and then I saw him at Wigan, and he'd just gone through all of that. It was tough to watch because I knew how good of a player he is, and I know what the type of player and person Stewie is. So it was tough to see, but I'm so glad that he's come out and actually spoke about. No, it's not. There's no excuse. It's just the reasons and why it dipped a little bit, but still, even though like he had that tough patch, he's still one of the best props in league. Even though he just wasn't being Stuart Fielding, making 30 yards a carry, he was still one of the best in league by a long shot.
No, yeah, I did. I felt bad when I said it because obviously I was young and naive myself when Stu was the player he was, and obviously when all that happened, I did think he sort of come back, and I think people thought he could be got at. Where before that, he gave you an 18-point lead basically, wouldn't he?
Oh, absolutely, but you've also got to take into, and I think Stewie would say this as well. It's like the help that Stewie had in at Bradford. Like you playing with Joe Vagana, playing with Paul Anderson. They were incredible. Like they've been Brian McDermott when he was playing, it was like awesome foursome. It was like four massive props and this big, young, athletic Stu Fielding came through the door and absolutely tore shreds off everybody. So no, obviously he had his help along the way, and players like who else in my best ever team, like players like Jamie Peacock alongside him as well. Do you know what I mean? And when he went to Wigan, when he first went, he didn't quite have that. So he was a one-man band at times at Wigan. Especially when he first went there, he didn't have the pack to go alongside it because you can be a forward, but if it's only one of you doing the job as such, you can't just carry it by himself. And fair.
It's a great point, that actually. I've never looked at it like that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you put anything, you put the best world's best halfback in a team. If you haven't got the rest of it, it's hard to then replicate that form that you've had at previous clubs. You didn't have the caliber of player that he had elsewhere.
Yeah.
But eventually he got that at Wigan when Madge took over, he got help and again he kicked on.
Yeah.
Back rowers. I've just mentioned him, Jamie Peacock, as tough as teak. Yeah, incredible player. Only got to play with him for a couple of years, but he's obviously the career that he had at Bradford, and then to kick on and take Leeds to the next level, because Leeds were always they were there and thereabouts, and they had all the golden era with Ryan Bailey, Maguire, Rob Burrow, rest his soul, all that. Them players that were coming through, they needed that little bit of a push to get them over the line, and Jamie Peacock was that for me. Obviously they had Kev Sinfield, incredible captain, but they just needed that last little piece of jigsaw, and that was Jamie Peacock with his mentality of being a winner. So JP goes into my team wherever he wants to play. Other back row, I'm going to go with Sam Burgess. Again, his career speaks for itself. Did it over here as a 18, 19-year-old. Took over Bradford and pretty much carried the Bradford team for a good couple of years by himself. And then obviously went over to South, and what a career. Done it all. One of the toughest blokes again out there. So Sam Burgess will be my back rower.
Yeah.
And me loose forward, there's only one loose forward for me, and that's Sean O'Loughlin. He's Skip. He's the best captain I've ever had. Again, speaks for himself. There's a 13 who can do it all. After his kicking game, anybody runs at him, he'll belt. He can take a tough carry. He can play the link between an half back and the forwards as a ball handling for 13. But again, all the tough stuff that he does, did match with his skill and his leadership qualities. Locker's hands down, and he's another one that you talk about tough. He was tough in a different way, not the one for being grubby or being intimidating. But when you walked onto a rugby pitch with players like Sean O'Loughlin, you're going to be all right, if that makes sense. Not that you're going onto a pitch scared, but you look to your left and you've got Sean O'Loughlin. Gives you that aura, that little bit of confidence to go, you know what, we're on today. We've got lockers. You've got a couple of players like that in that team throughout that I've just given you. But lockers was Skip.